This is Formula SideQuests, your mostly on-topic Formula One podcast, hosted by me, Kelly,
and me, Shannon.
Hello and welcome to Formula SideQuests, your mostly on-topic Formula One podcast, with me, Kelly.
And me, Shannon. I'm trying to gesture at you because your thing's twizzled.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying something different.
Oh, she's trying something different, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm trying something. See if you know, it is the rather cheap mics that we've bought that affects our sound quality.
Or our ineptitude.
Or our ineptitude, yeah. Have I constructed the mics wrong? Who knows?
Who knows?
So this is a bonus side quest episode.
Bonus episode.
A bonus episode.
Because we've got 3 weeks of no racing again.
There is that, yeah. Oh yeah, we went on holiday together.
Oh yeah, we did go on holiday together.
And we've done some lovely things.
We use past tense. We're still on holiday together.
Yeah, technically we are recording this on the last night of our holiday. We're in the absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, amazing countryside of Wiltshire.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this fantastic house that is right by the river. And unfortunately, with all of that comes animals.
Which you might or might not be able to hear in the background, but that's the beauty of recording this outside.
Yes, we are on an absolute gorgeous veranda in the garden of the house that we're staying at. We have the view of the river and a swan.
2 swans.
2 swans. Where's the other swan?
The
other swan is in the river.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. We have had sightings of herons.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just one heron. We got a deer yesterday when we weren't here.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
So an element of weaved into this podcast is going to be animal spotting with Kelly and Shannon.
It'll be a shit element.
It's going to be a shit element. We're just going to go, ooh,
oh, there's an animal.
Ooh, there's another animal.
Some sort of bird.
Yeah.
I mean, there's currently somebody in the field opposite walking dogs.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what breed. They're too far away.
Chocolate labs.
Mm. Okay, I'll believe you.
Spaniel.
That is not what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What we're talking about is the amazing trip that we went on yesterday.
Yes.
And when we were discussing coming on a holiday, we were like, oh, what are we going to do? What's around? What's there to see? Blah, blah, blah. And Shannon just messaged me out of the blue one night and went, Kelly, did you know that there is this museum not far away from where we're staying, and it's called the Haynes Motor Museum?
The Haynes Motor Museum.
And I didn't even have to look it up. I just went, yes.
Yes. I knew of its existence, have known of its existence for some years. I think probably because it's been refurbished quite heavily in recent years as well, that it's been in, all of the museum and heritage circle things that we read and pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I hadn't looked into it too heavily. Googled it and thought, this is going to be an absolute heaven for us. Complete pilgrimage.
Yep. So
off we went. Took my father.
Yep.
He took us.
Well, he drove us.
He drove.
We took him.
And it is, so John Haynes, absolutely fantastic man. From the Haynes Motor Manual.
Exactly.
Motor Manuals. So if you don't know, which I'm sure most people do.
They're listening to a podcast about Formula One and cars in general, they should know.
Yeah.
They should.
Anyway. You can get a manual for every single car in existence, basically. Yeah. But John Haynes started this back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
From his own brain, before we had CAD design and 3D drawing elements and whatever, he would just sketch as he rebuilt these cars. And would make manuals about how to rebuild these cars. And cars were his absolute passion. And he made enough money out of his initial publications to start a car collection. And that's Haynes Motor Museum.
Yep.
Is his passion and love of cars in one building.
Yep.
A legacy that's been continued by the people that run the museum, support the museum, always with his vision in mind. And it was absolutely stunning.
It was incredible. So from the moment you arrive, you can tell that there has been money spent on it. The building is immaculate.
It is.
Absolutely immaculate. And you can tell from the shape and the size of it, that it was purpose-built.
Yeah,
for
purpose-built
this reason.
for the collection. And there's nothing better than the flow of a purpose-built museum, because you're not working around pre-existing walls, you're not working around things that
can't be moved
and are not really made for that space. You're designing a space around cars.
Yeah.
And it was just heaven.
So when you walk in, obviously you've got your cafe to the side, which we did partake. It was lovely.
We did partake. It was lovely, yes.
You've got your shop as well.
Which we also partook.
And we actually used a lot of restraint.
We did.
There was a lot in there.
No second mortgage was taken out for me in that shop, and it could have been.
But then you get the chance to actually enter the museum. And initially you walk in and there's this wonderful little exhibit about John Haynes and how it all started and what he was like as a fella. And I mean, obviously, when you are talking about somebody who has passed away and, fairly recently.
Yes, 2019.
Within still living memory.
Very much.
You're obviously going to say lots of nice things. But what I loved about it is that, yes, they were saying lots of nice things, but there was a huge personality there as well. You could tell that this man was genuinely still loved by his family, by his friends, by people who'd worked with him. So one of the facts that I loved that was within the exhibit was about... obviously, he started creating the manuals because he had an Austin 750 and he was just, curious about rebuilding it and basically documenting it. It wasn't him going, oh, I can make money out of this. It was just him and the way that he worked, documenting things.
A proper nerd reaction to doing something that he loved and was passionate about. And we can all vibe with that.
Hello to Formula SideQuests, your mostly on topic Formula 1 podcast. So,
did you just shout out our own podcast on our own podcast?
Yes, I did.
I like it. Well done.
Thank you.
I don't think it's going to get to many different people.
No, but you never know.
You never know.
So, the fact that I really, really enjoyed was that obviously he started creating these manuals and then he created a manual for the Porsche 911 when it first came out.
Yeah.
And the manual outsold the number of cars made.
Which just goes to show that us car nerds are slightly unhinged.
Yes.
Because there was a solid amount of people that went, well, I can't afford to have the car. I'm probably never going to have the car. But in case I do have the car, I'm going to buy the manual.
Exactly.
And I just love that as a human condition. I don't understand what it is with humans and cars. And that's coming from a car person.
Yeah.
I don't understand what it is. I don't understand what is... that we get drawn to them so much. They're a man-made thing. I'm not sure there's many man-made things in this world that we get so awestruck by as cars, as a populace, and yet it's so...
Oh, we have 3 swans.
We have 3 swans.
There you go. Animal spotting with Kelly and Shannon.
Yeah, 3 swans.
3 swans, people. Wow.
It's so visceral.
Yes.
People's reactions to cars. And it's like it's a human race thing.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in the world, if you're a car nut, you have the same visceral reaction to a car. And that's just what this museum embodied.
Yes.
Was, I love cars and here's why. And that's what the manual was born out of. Like you say, it wasn't to make money. He wasn't seeking to do anything like that. He literally just went, I love cars. I loved building a car. Here's a written record of building a car. And other people went, oh, yeah, I'll look at that.
Yeah.
I'll buy that. And that's what that became. And then that's what this museum is a complete embodiment of, is cars are incredible, aren't they? And thousands of people, 10,000 people a year just go, yeah, in response.
I mean, we went on
We now have no swans.
Oh,
They've all buggered off.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We went on a Wednesday in the middle of May. It's not a school holiday or anything like that. And it wasn't busy, but...
There were people.
There were lots of people.
There was a queue in the cafe.
And more importantly, there was a wonderful representation of generations.
Yeah. There was your classic older retired men. who probably walked around the exhibit and were going, I had one of those, to most of them. There were kids who were enjoying it as a family day out with their parents. But then there was a solid, like, in between sort of my age to your age area of couples and some individuals who were just there to nerd out in the way that we were. So yeah, it really, again, it's this real binding thing. Kids love cars and kids don't quite realise why they love cars, and then they become adults like us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I remember loving cars from an exceptionally young age and not understanding why. No. So yeah, it was lovely to see that many people involved. Yeah.
And then, of course, once you finish that little exhibit, it's in a nice little sort of contained room, and you go through doors, and all of a sudden, you are presented with cars.
Cars.
Just cannot put into words the immediate reaction that we both had just going through those double doors and seeing cars.
It was something along the lines of
and I think we both made noises similar to that.
That. Yeah. I've just put that in a podcast. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Anyway.
Oh God, I lost count of the amount of times I went, that's fucking sexy.
There was a lot of that. Yeah, and there's a vague chronology to it, in as much as the first room that you walk into, you've got some of the first vehicles. You've got talking about the origin of Mr. Benz.
Yes, Mr. Benz.
Mr. Benz, and the creation of the first car. You had a fantastic little exhibit on how an internal combustion engine works.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Which I really enjoyed. Just the simple piston approach. You pressed a button, it showed you how it sucked in the air, it ignites the fuel, etc. How the pistons move up and down. Really lovely visual representation of an ICE unit. That was a very, very F1 term.
Very F1, yeah.
That's not what it's called in other cars. It's called an engine.
It's called... It's just a bog standard. You lift the bonnet up. It's an engine.
Heron just flew by.
Oh!
Didn't land, but flew by.
Oh, right,
did a flyby.
Sorry.
Just as a side note, you may hear military vehicles and potential gunfire.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. We're on Salisbury Plain.
Yeah, we're right next to Salisbury Plain. Well, we're bracketed. Salisbury Plain's to our left and Lark Hill's to our right. And Salisbury Plain is the biggest military piece of land in the country, and Lark Hill is the second biggest. And the other morning we were sat out here fairly early. It was about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, having a cuppa, and suddenly machine gun fire just sort of floated to us across the thing. It's something I'm fairly comfortable with as a concept. It was odd. It was odd. I think 4 Chinooks have gone past today alone. So we in amongst the tranquil beauty and peace of nature, there may also be some gunfire. Don't be alarmed. It's okay.
Yeah, we've gotten used to it.
Yeah, we've gotten used to it. All right,
quite quickly, actually. It's quite alarming.
Well, I'm kind of used to it anyway.
What's my excuse? Anyway, so the cars themselves are absolutely incredible. They are
so well kept.
Most of them are original.
Yeah.
And have either been bought up, or in recent years, I noticed a few of them had been donated.
Yeah.
The staff there were constantly wandering around, polishing, pumping up tyres. We said numerous times, I want that job.
Yeah, and they were immaculate. They were every single car in that collection was immaculate. And I would love to know the value. I would love to know, and this is partly a car nerd and partly museum and heritage nerd, what that building is insured for value-wise.
God.
Because just in one room alone, you're looking at millions of pounds.
Yeah.
And then when you think about how much an F1 car is worth, and you think about how many F1 cars were in that building,
which we will get to, don't worry.
They're adding millions on their own, singularly. And then if you think about the fact that you can add tens of thousands onto a value of a car by the amount of years that pass, and most of the cars in that place were pre-1980.
Yeah.
I would love to see their insurance documents.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
So they were absolutely kept beautifully. So you kind of followed the story, didn't you, of like the progression of the car.
Yeah.
There was a room on British icons, so we had Aston, Jag and Lotus,
and Mini.
and Mini, sorry, all in a room together, which was fairly fucking iconic. You had the Hall of American Dreams, which was your favourite room.
That was my favourite room.
I walked through it being remotely disgusted by most of them.
They were gorgeous.
You had your Ferrari room dedicated to Enzo Ferrari, which was stunning.
Just beautiful.
You had your Morris garage
room. That was fantastic.
Which was set up as a garage, which like visually was fantastic.
And of course, for anybody who doesn't know, Morris Garage is the full name of MG.
Yes. Thank you.
Just in case anybody didn't know.
Just in case you didn't know. There was a Motorsport
Hall of Fame,
which there was some racing pedigree in there.
There was Graham Hill's car.
Yeah.
There was
Michael Schumacher's
first Ferrari. There was some rally cars.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I think my personal favourite, bar the F1 room, was the red room.
The red room.
And it was my favourite for the reason that it was there.
100%.
More than, I mean, it was my favourite for looking at it, but the reason it was there. So John Haynes dreamt all his life of having a room dedicated to we're being passed alcohol out of the door, and I just can't argue with that as a concept.
It's
this is great.
We will definitely partake.
I think we're being served prosecco halfway through the podcast. I can't argue with this. We'll keep this in. Should keep this in.
So the red room.
Red room. So John Haynes dreamt of having a room that was dedicated to having only red cars in it. And the reason that he wanted that was because, thank you very much, Mother, was because he believed, you'll enjoy this when you listen back to this, was because he believed that if you had a car that was every single colour, and red being one of the most evocative colours to a human being, that you would see beyond the colour and beyond the facade of the car, and you would look into the lines and the movement and the intricacies and the details, and you would see a car for a car. Only a man that knows cars would come out with a concept like that. Like, what a stunning concept.
But then obviously what they've done within that space is taken that vision, and the way that it was displayed was just beautiful.
When you came down to the steps, there's one centerpiece car which was a Rolls. I believe
it was a Rolls,
and then there were cars fanning out around it in a semicircle, and it did have that impact. But it had so much detail about red as a color, as a concept, and the interpretation spoke about how it is one of the most evocative colours as a human being. It denotes passion and sometimes anger and all of these kinds of things. But it had on the wall every car company's own red. And it was wonderful to see, because the cars that are more your everyday cars, like Vauxhall and BMW, and that had quite a few different cars, kind of up to kind of 10 different reds.
Like Ford, for example, had like crimson and flamingo, which we were both like, well, that's not
pink, surely.
Red. But...
And all of these kinds of things. But then there was Ferrari.
Just the one.
Was just the Ferrari Rosso Corsa. The Ferrari red, and they don't produce cars in any other red, and there were quite a few Ferraris represented in that room, and obviously in the Ferrari room as well. And it is a very unique red, you have to admit. I believe they've patented it. I believe no other
no
can have that red. And it was absolutely beautiful. But that red room, and I think it served the purpose of what John Haynes said it did, which is that you looked beyond. And it was just wonderful.
And I mean, throughout the whole of the museum, the way that everything is displayed, the way that the information is presented, the red room itself, you've got that vision of wanting to see beyond the cars and see the shape and how they move and all of that. But then right at the back, you've got the interpretation, which the size that interpretation was...
It was massive. It was the entire wall height. Yeah.
But it didn't overshadow the cars.
No, it didn't. And you could stand in front of it and read it and it not impede the cars or the cars impede it. It was exceptionally thought out. But they're redoing that room.
Yes.
And I can't argue with the concept. So, so they've just received Heritage Lottery funding to redo that room and to update it to have, I believe, that their thought process, and I completely can get behind this, is that it needs to have more interactive elements for younger children. Well, for all ages, but predominantly for younger children. There wasn't a huge amount of interactive element in the museum.
No, there wasn't, but we did partake of the interactive elements.
And the pieces that were there were fantastic, but I can see why they're wishing to put more in.
Yes.
But also that part of this Heritage Lottery Fund is STEM projects to get more young people interested in engineering, which, yes, absolutely. But I hope that they keep the soul of the interpretation.
Yes.
So talking about the shades of red, this is what the interpretation said. There was gunfire in the background just at the end of that.
Yeah, I don't think it picked up on the mics.
But there was gunfire.
But we will tell you, we heard gunfire.
Artillery, in fact. Red cars are usually chosen by people who have a zeal for life. If your car is red, you are most likely to be ambitious, impulsive, outgoing, or, like John Haynes, you just love red cars. Manufacturers have always teased prospective drivers with imaginative colour names, and these shades of red are anyone's guess. Here are a few examples. And then it goes on to talk about the various shades of red that various manufacturers have gone for. Like Vauxhall, sharp.
Yes.
Great. Ford, race. Good. BMW, well, that says granite. Well, that's grey.
That's not red.
Toyota, LA.
Of course.
Although I must say Toyota have a Maranello red.
I
bet Ferrari tried to do a cease and desist on that one.
Quite possibly, but they can't really do anything about the name of a town.
No, but can you imagine? They would have been pissed. VW, Tornado. Yeah.
No.
Porsche, Guards. And Papaya. We were talking about this in the museum.
We did.
Porsche have a red called Papaya.
Which isn't red.
Which A, isn't red, and B, stop stepping on McLaren's toes. But then, of course, Ferrari, it's just that Rosso Corso. So yeah, that was a wonderful, that was probably my favourite room conceptually. And actually, just looking at my camera roll, look how much red is on there. I've taken more red car pictures than I have anything else, which is very interesting subconsciously.
Yes. I mean, obviously they weren't just the red cars weren't just in the red room. There were other red cars dotted around the entire exhibit. But it was interesting to look at how cars have developed and how the shape has developed. And whilst it was very clear walking around that place that we do very much disagree on cars.
Yeah, totally.
Because, oh my God, the American Dream Room was just stonking. I could go on forever about it, but I'm not going to.
She really could, whereas Dad and I walked around taking the piss out of 90% of them.
Yes, you did.
I was really glad I had him there because me and my dad's love of cars aligns more than ours. So I had a backup. I had a friend.
But I didn't care.
No.
My point is, we did agree
being attacked by a gnat
on one thing.
Yeah.
And that is cars made in the 70s were a hell of a lot fucking better than the cars made now.
Yeah. Anything that was just a standard car. So your standard VW Polo.
Yeah.
Your standard Ford. I know they didn't have a Focus back then. They had a Mondeo, didn't they? But like
they had a Cortina.
They had a Cortina.
They had a Cortina.
I did enjoy the Cortina. Your standard, what you would say, daily road cars. You know, no specials, no sports cars, things that your everyday person would have bought. Were just better in the 70s. Yeah. They were just nicer in the 70s. They looked nicer. And then they stuck like 1.4 engines in them.
Yeah.
And fuel cost nothing. And everyone had a whale of a time. It just sounds better, in my opinion. Anyway.
So obviously the museum itself, absolutely incredible to look at. A range of vehicles from like your very first horseless carriages to your beautiful, stunning, everyday 70s cars. To there was some beautiful, we've already mentioned Ferrari, but there was a Lamborghini there.
Yep. The Diablo.
There was the Pontiac Firebird.
Oh, there was two of them. There was the original Pontiac Firebird and then the 70s Pontiac Firebird, and that was the only exception to the 70s being better.
Yeah.
Because the original was better.
Yes. I will give you that. Yeah, it was 2007. I think, they had the 2007.
Or 2001, I can't remember. But yeah, it was...
It was a little bit sleeker.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry. With all of that...
We're just causing absolute... This is what happens when we're not in our normal setup. There's stuff everywhere. There are crows. People are shutting doors around us. I've just knocked over my water bottle. What's next?
What's next is... the room we spent the most time in.
The room that my dad actually gave up on us and sat down.
Yes.
He actually buggered off and sat down. Because we were taking too long.
We walked in and realised that, we needed to take our time.
We are going to read every single piece of interpretation.
So this is the absolutely amazingly fantastic Williams exhibit at the Haynes Motor Museum.
Yep, Williams F1. It took you through the history of the team on a fantastic timeline on the wall. That went all the way up until 2025, and a lovely picture of Carlos Sainz at the end.
Beautiful picture of Carlos Sainz before he cut his hair.
Before he cut his hair and ruined everything.
God damn you, man.
I can't believe L'Oreal let him cut his hair.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, like, you're part of... They're not going to let Charles ever cut his hair again.
God, no.
Absolutely not.
We've already discussed this on previous podcasts. It doesn't really matter, because Charles can just take his top off and they'll still sell.
No acting skill, but take your top off, you'll be grand. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the F1 Williams exhibit, and it talks about not just the team, but the man, Frank Williams.
Yeah.
And how he started, and who he partnered with, and how it all came about, and how it developed. And not only was the interpretation absolutely amazing, but then they also had 4 cars there as well.
They did. They had 4 cars throughout the Williams F1 history. Although they weren't the oldest, were they?
No.
So I think we had, and I should have written this down as we went. So we had Damon Hill from the 90s, the early to mid 90s. Yep. And we had one of Lewis's first single-seater races, which was a Williams Renault car, but it wasn't an F1 car.
No.
And then we had all the way up to the mock-up of the 25 car, I believe. Wasn't a real one.
No.
But it was a mock-up of one. However, I'm just thinking, with the reg changes, they could now have an actual 25 car in there, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
They're obsolete now.
They are.
So yeah, the 4 cars that were in there were gorgeous to look at. Absolutely gorgeous to look at. And you could get really close to them.
Really? Yeah. Obviously no touching.
No.
We didn't touch.
No. We touched nothing. Except for the Pirelli tyres in the
Motorsport Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. And Dad kept touching a few things and I kept telling him off.
Yeah.
But we didn't touch the F1 cars.
We didn't touch the F1 cars, and trust me, it was
very difficult.
So hard.
And then the end part of the for the display element of it was Pastor Maldonado's ruined car
from his crash in Monaco.
From his crash in Monaco, in the mid 2000s, I think. But the piece was about how an F1 car saves lives.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that survived from that crash was the survival pod, as they call it, which on an F1 car, if you remove all of the wheels, all of the front and rear wings, all of the side pods, there is this singular cockpit, basically the cockpit that is built to survive, along with the fuel cell, which is protected and made of Kevlar, which is something that I didn't know beforehand.
Yeah. So something we found out yesterday.
Yes, the fuel cells are made of Kevlar, and I was shocked about that actually, because that's heavy. But obviously that needs to be one of the most protected elements of the car. Otherwise, what happened to Romain Grosjean in 2020 happen if you don't protect where your fuel is. So that was super interesting. But it was just a wonderful exhibit about F1 in general, as well as the history of Williams. Had a really interesting interpretation piece on like the general structure of a race weekend.
Yes.
About, you know, this is how practice works, this is when the team's set up, this is when the team's set down, this is where you tend to put races in between. That was super interesting. There was a bit about how F1 drivers prep for races in terms of what they eat and drink, with a fantastic quote from Lando Norris saying, "I don't tend to have a large meal before a race," and we're stood there going,
bollocks,
that's a load of shit, isn't it? All we do is see eat. So that was quite amusing. It was just, there was just wonderful interpretation. There was a lot about the halo, with various pictures of the lives that the halo has saved over the last 5 years on its own, which only included Lewis and Max in 21, Romain Grosjean in 2020, and Zhou in 22.
It was Zhou in 22, yeah.
And if you think about all of the others thereafter, Pierre Gasly 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, so that was super interesting addition. It was just it was a wonderful exhibition.
Yeah.
And we did read every single piece of interpretation.
We really did read every single piece, including what is now and forever will be my absolute favourite piece of museum interpretation, full stop.
Yes, agreed.
Just full stop.
Full stop ever. And is also... So when you write... So we've written interpretation before.
Yes. Just in case you didn't know, anybody who's listening.
We both work in museums and heritage.
Yes.
So we've written interpretation before for exhibitions and things like that. Rule number 1 is to remain impartial.
Yes.
That's rule number 1.
Try and have as little bias as possible.
You don't have an opinion, you simply present the fact and you find the best way to interpret that fact with the way that you're writing it. This is the most opinionated piece of interpretation I've ever come across. But it's really interesting, the tone.
Yeah.
So it had a wall about the challenges of each championship for the last 10 years. Driver versus driver. And for 21, obviously, it was Lewis and Max. So then it has the story of the championship, where the championship was won and lost, you know. And it comes to Abu Dhabi of 21. This interpretation reads: the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix decided the 2021 title, with Verstappen and Hamilton tied on points. On lap 53, Latifi's crash brought out a safety car. Verstappen pitted for soft tyres, rejoining second with 5 lapped cars between him and the leader Hamilton. On lap 57, in a breach of the rules, race director Michael Massey allowed only those cars to unlap themselves. On the final lap, Verstappen overtook Hamilton at turn 5 to win the race and his first championship, denying Hamilton a record 8th title. Ooh!
Now,
an opinion was had.
Now, I can't speak for you, and I can't speak for any of our listeners. However, what I can speak for is myself.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wrote that interpretation, I need to go and buy them a drink, because they are bang on correct.
Whoever wrote that interpretation is a Hamilton fan. I was shocked. I genuinely was shocked, because that does read that, well, even just that last line, denying Lewis Hamilton, it does read as, very opinionated.
Yeah.
And I think the particular line of in a breach of the rules.
Yes.
And it wasn't if the line read, in a variation of the rules or took the decision to or something along those lines, that would be one thing. But to directly go in a breach of the rules, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So it was, I stepped back from reading that and just went, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is that I think you could probably ask most teams in the paddock on that day, and they would have an opinion on what happened. and they would be favouring on Lewis's side.
Yeah.
Not because Lewis deserved the championship more than Max.
No, not at all.
But Max shouldn't have won it in the way that he had. If he had won it in a straight fight to the line, no safety car, no rule breaching, and it was just toe to toe, nose to nose, who crossed that line first, and Max won it, everyone would have gone, fair play. But Max won it because there was a breach of the rules. And that's really unfortunate. And there are videos all over the internet of every driver coming up to Lewis afterwards and sort of going, I'm not sure that was fair.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see such an outward opinion.
Especially in, not in an article on the internet somewhere, in a museum that is visited by thousands of people every single year.
Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting.
So, we spent a lot of time in that room.
Yeah.
For very good reasons. We learned quite a bit.
Yes.
But they had in there a really good interactive element, which was looking at the different pit stops over the decades.
Dad was enjoying that. You watched 57 all the way to 2025.
Yes, where, of course, in 57, you would take around about 5 minutes, refuel, and take a hammer just to
oh my God, it was
work
so
out the
funny.
dents.
The car pulls up, and this dude just steps up to the car with a massive fuck-off hammer and just starts going at it. It's hilarious. But to get the nut back on, he had to re-hammer it. So the end of the pit stop is the same dude with the same hammer, just re-hammering this wheel back on. It was hilarious. And then obviously the various refueling moments that we had all the way up until 2025 when they showed a Williams pit stop that was like 1.2 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're going from literally, I think it was 1 minute 5 to 1.2. Insane. Yeah. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But one of our favourite walls in that was the fact wall.
The fact wall.
And the the records wall.
Yes.
So it covered various things, including the shortest F1 career in history. So this was 2 meters.
Not even in time.
You can't even do it in time. You have to do it in physical distance.
Yeah.
Because this poor sod made it 2 meters.
And that was it.
So this was Ernest Loof, who was driving in 53. And I believe he was standing in for someone. At the 1953 German Grand Prix. The car made it 2 meters off the line before cutting out completely with a fuel pump issue, and he never raced in Formula 1 again.
Oh, bless him.
Poor guy.
Sorry, Mr. Foof.
Loof.
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 Not Foof.
Loof.
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 Loof. Now, this one really tickled us. The shortest time before earning a penalty. And what really tickled us about it is who it was.
Yes. We'll give you a minute just for you proper F1 nerds that are listening to
have a guess.
Think of a name. I hope you've got that name in your head right now. Yeah. And if any of you correctly, and please do put in the comments if you do get this correct.
Yeah.
We would like to know.
Yeah.
How many of you correctly said
Sebastian Vettel? It was 6 seconds before he received his penalty. In his debut race for BMW Sauber, he was standing in for Robert Kubica after his crash at Montreal. Pulling out of the garage for his first F1 session, he sped in the pit lane and was penalised for doing so just 6 seconds into his F1 career.
Yeah.
This is a 4-time world champion.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Mr. Vettel. You legend, you sir.
And we mentioned Pastor Maldonado earlier his destroyed car that's in the exhibit. The interpretation actually read that he was the 5th most accident-prone driver of all time. He was also very penalty-prone as well.
Yes.
Because in one season of 2014, he received 10 separate penalties, which is the most of all time, for... they say that he was a fast, aggressive driver He wasn't paid for challenging for the title, and he drove on the limit, which often resulted in penalties. Now, I watched when Maldonado was driving, and to say lack of skill, I think, is probably a fair.
Well, I mean, his stats when we were looking at it, and they were saying about he's one of the fifth most accident-prone drivers.
He competed in 98 races.
Yes.
47 of them he crashed out of.
Yes.
And he won one of them.
Yes.
It's not great odds, is it?
Really not. No. No. Bless you, sir.
Yeah. Wildlife Watch, no one.
Well, I can see a swan.
Oh, can you see a swan? No one wants to listen to our bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, there's 2 swans.
Oh, is there 2 swans?
No, is there? Yes,
Don't tell me there's going to be more swans listening to this podcast than actual people. You can put that in.
There's 2 swans outside, and there's 2 people inside who do actually listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Hi, Mama and Papa Ben.
Yeah. So,
yes,
the lowest starting position to take a victory.
Oh,
in 1983, John Watson,
of course,
won from 22nd on the grid.
Bloody hell!
Which is impressive.
I'd like to know that the more stats about that race, like how many people crashed out.
Yes, how many people actually did all 22 cars finish?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a good point actually.
But even so, starting in last
is quite.
It's quite impressive.
Yeah, quite impressive. The largest gap between first and second in a race.
Oh yes.
So this was in 1958, the Portuguese Grand Prix. Sterling Moss beat Michael Hawthorne. 5 minutes 12 seconds.
Yeah.
How many times was that field lapped to have a 5 minute? I mean, I know
that one car.
Yeah, and obviously in the 50s, it was the gaps were going to be larger. You're not going to have the point nothing of a second that we have now, but 5 minutes 12 seconds.
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
Poor man who was waving the checkered flag at the end was probably going, yes, woohoo, yes. After 30 seconds, can I actually stop?
Is there anyone else coming? Are they coming? Is anyone else coming?
Can I wait until I actually see them come in? Do I have to continue? No,
yep.
Right, great.
The most consecutive DNFs in one season from the first race.
Yes,
Jacques Villeneuve.
Why am I not surprised?
I know, 11 DNFs. So yeah, it was a wonderful exhibit. It also had like a timeline of the rule changes, which was super interesting, that I haven't digested yet.
No.
But what I did find super interesting, because obviously it's talking about rule changes in terms of safety. What I found interesting is it denoted the number of deaths per year.
Yes, that was interesting.
So pre-1970, there were 23 deaths in Formula One. We had a rule change in the 1970s. There were 9 deaths in that decade. In the 1980s, there were 4 deaths in that decade. The 90s, there were 2 deaths. In the 2000s, there were no deaths.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2010s, there was 1 death, obviously. And in the 2020s, no deaths.
Yeah.
So it really shows the progression.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, as much as, especially this year, there has been a lot of sort of negativity around the rules and regulations and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's mainly been about the battery charge issues that we are seeing and how that's then creating these false overtakes. Completely understand that. Yes, we will continue to whinge about that until they have sorted it all out. But you cannot argue with every rule change, with every new regulation over the last 30, 40 years. There's always been some sort of safety element for a reason.
Yeah. Every crash that we saw across the 25 season, Gabby's in Brazil, that would have seriously injured him, if not killed him.
Yeah.
Even Pierre's 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That flip.
Yeah.
A car going upside down is not good. Like, he wouldn't have come out of that unscathed. If you think about the injuries that have been received over the last few years, it's been things that there is a certain thing that you can't protect against. When Danny Rick broke his wrists, how do you protect the hands and the wrists any more than you can without seriously impeding the driver's ability to feel the steering wheel, which is going to seriously impede their ability to drive safely. There's a no-win situation there.
Yeah. I mean, when you're thinking back to like the last major issue that implemented a rule change would be, of course, Grosjean.
Yes.
And that everybody agrees that was actually a complete and utter fluke. It was just because the barrier itself where he hit created a sharp point which then penetrated the fuel cell.
Yeah. It, like you say, complete
fluke.
And you probably couldn't protect against that. But the halo was the thing that saved his life.
Exactly.
Because if he'd gone into that barrier without that halo, that would have killed him. Never mind the fire.
Yeah.
Sod the fire. He would have been killed on impact.
But then
in exactly the same way that Antoine was killed on impact.
Exactly.
And that's why...
why the halo was introduced. Yeah. But with Grosjean, then it wasn't just a case of looking at how do we protect the car and the driver, but what can we do for the barriers as well? And so, it just goes to show that within the sport, as much as people complain and whinge that, all these changes are, making it easier to overtake at the moment or harder to overtake in the past, there are some elements that we have to just remember are there for a very good freaking reason. And that is to protect the drivers of this sport that we love so much.
And I think that's why they sat up and listened as fast as they did after Ollie's crash with these regs.
Yes.
Is because the regs are supposed to be progressive in terms of racing and in terms of safety. And these regs have progressed neither of those things.
Nope, not at all.
But actually there did seem to be a terrifyingly backward step on the safety. And I think that's why they've sat up and listened and actually done something about it. Okay. So the final thing I'd like to come to.
Yes.
The marker of F1 turning around and going, oh no, we have fucked up, haven't we?
Oh.
Which is lovely, and they're never going to say it directly, but I think when you admit this as early as you do, you've admitted that you fucked up. We're getting V8s.
Ah!
Finally!
God.
V8s are coming back.
Thank the Lord.
Potentially as early as 2030, if not 2031.
Yes.
The FIA president has declared, I refuse to say his name because I hate him so much, has declared that we will be getting V8s, that we will be moving back to
internal combustion engines.
Yep. With a further caveat, a proper brum brum, with a further caveat that I believe in 2027 they're going to look to a 60-40 ratio in favour of an ICE.
Yes, that was it.
So in the last few weeks they have turned around and gone, oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I do wonder, I mean, obviously when we heard about this, we were discussing it and we were saying, clearly this is... what's his face? Again, I can't remember his name. Don't really care to learn it. The FIA president going, oh, the fans are upset. Let me just appease the fans by saying this. But is that the case? Or is this, again, another case of the drivers going to them going, we are not doing this anymore?
I think they are running scared because... I'm not saying the entire sport revolves around Max Verstappen, but...
But we are saying the entire sport revolves around Max Verstappen.
A huge amount of sport revolves around Max Verstappen. I would say there are only 3 drivers at the moment that have the power to completely turn this sport on its head.
Yeah.
And Max leads that following.
Yeah.
Where the decisions that he makes and where he goes are going to either be the making of the sport or be exceptionally detrimental.
Yeah.
And he is a traditionalist at heart, and he wants to drive a big scary brum brum, which is why he is in a few hours time throwing a car around a very wet Nordschleife.
Yeah.
And it's not just him, it's everyone.
Yeah.
Because anyone that spoke positively about these regulations at the beginning of the year have already backtracked, and we've only done 4 races.
Yeah.
And I think that's only going to continue. And I think the more we do and the more varied conditions we get the cars in, the more that they're going to struggle, the more that they're not going to enjoy it. They are going to lose their best drivers.
Yeah.
And then, again, I think we've said this before, that's not to say that F1 can't take it. F1 have enough of a fan base that enough people will stick around, no matter what kind of driver swap happens, no matter who comes in, no matter who goes. But there are going to be some people that will completely drop F1 when their favourite drivers go.
Yeah.
And you've got on the horizon some pretty significant retirements, if it continues like this.
Mm-hmm.
Is the shiny, distant, glinting future of a V8 as far away as 4 years going to keep Max? Possibly not. But will it keep your other stars like Lando, like Oscar, like George, like Kimi? Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
If you turn around to them and say, look, stick this out, still be fighting for championships, and in 4 years' time you are going to get a car that you are going to love driving and will continue to fight championships for. Of course, Kimi's young enough that he's got 6 to 8 years of a career in F1, bare minimum.
Yes.
You'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
George wants a championship far too much to walk away.
Yes.
You'll be fine. Lando's going to want another one. Oscar deserves one.
Yes.
Like, you've got this stack of talent. And then if you think about the babies in the other teams, Ollie Behrman needs a seat in a big car very, very soon.
Yeah.
I think Arvid's going to need a seat in a big car very, very soon.
Yeah.
You know? So it might be dangling the carrot, but I think it's the correct thing to do.
Yes.
I think it's the correct thing to do anyway, but I think announcing it this soon is a real marker of their sort of like, oh, shit. It's not just the fans. It is the drivers. And if the drivers aren't happy, the teams aren't happy. And if the teams aren't happy, we're losing all our funding.
Yeah. 100%. Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, we're still on holiday. And once we've finished recording, we're about to go and have some food.
I think we're going to the pub.
Are we going to the pub? Oh, even
I think we're
better.
going to the pub,
we're going
actually.
to the pub.
I think that's what I think my dad's getting angsty because he wants to go to the pub.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, we're off to the pub.
Yeah, we're going to the pub.
So I hope you are enjoying whatever day you are listening to this to.
Yeah.
I hope you go to the pub too.
Yeah, go to the pub. This is a free pass for everyone to go to the pub.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's great.
Middle of your work day, go to the pub.
Just go to the pub. But I hope you enjoyed listening to our review of Haynes Motor Museum. I hope
you get a chance to go.
Yeah.
If you're in this part of the country and you're a car nerd, go.
Just go.
Yeah.
It is such a fantastic day out. It's reasonably priced. I would obviously say book online because you do get it a little bit cheaper than
you save 10%.
Rocking up on the door.
Yeah.
But I hope that eventually somebody from Haynes Motor Museum hears this,
listens to this.
And
I will just say it's also an annual ticket, so you can visit as many times as you wish throughout the year.
Yeah.
Which we're going to try to.
We are going to try to. We are going to try and come back at some point within the next 12 months.
And we might do a live podcast then as we do that.
Yeah. By then, hopefully, we'll have better microphones.
Maybe if we invest in them.
But thank you very much for listening. This has been Formula SideQuest, your mostly on-topic Formula 1 podcast with me, Kelly.
And me, Shannon.
Bye.
Bye.